Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. I'm Joe Chaffee, and Joe Rayo will be joining us momentarily, I assume. So I figured I'd jump on and take care of business right off the bat. The Joe and Joe Weather Show. And now, of course, is the time to be thinking about the fact that the holidays will be here soon enough, and not just Christmas, by the way, but Halloween too. And wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini should be your go-to place, whether you want your home decorated to the nines to be the best home on the block, or maybe you want to do this as part of your business in decorating other people's homes. They give them a call. They're at 162 North Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York on Long Island. They are a local business, which is great if you can support a local business. 631-957-5106, the phone number, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. Also, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, also on Long Island. And their phone number is 631-756-1125. If you're in the snow removal business, or you need start to store some salt for the upcoming winter, be advised there's a salt shortage, but Omni's able to get salt faster than anyone else, so they have the best prices in town and will have the best prices in town. So give the Omni folks a call, and their website is omnitruevalue.com. So we're hoping that this cold front was going to come through benign, but it is a little bit on the busy side, although it's not quite as busy as I thought it would be. And Joe Rayo now joins us in a lovely red top. By the way, you'll notice, Joe, my background tonight and the lovely curtains that are hanging behind me.
Are we at Mother's tonight?
Yes, I think this adds a little class to my background here. Don't you think? I won't say which direction that class is, but we can.
Well, hey, what can we?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I mean, what can we say? I mean, it's time. It's about time you dress things up a little bit.
I know. I'll work on a clean shirt one of these days. By the way, the Joe Chaffee Joe Ray Award for the most how shall we deceptive headline has to go to the New York Post today. Winner hands down. With an article that was flying around online that's saying that flash floods and severe weather from Hurricane Larry were headed our way for later today and tonight.
Oh my God!
You did see that, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Oh yeah.
I don't get the New York. I don't read the New York Post.
Well, no, I understand, but that was
when I had a dog. When I had a dog, and the dog had some problems sometimes in the living room, right, I'd spread the post around. But you know,
obviously,
yeah.
No. It was a headline solely designed, brilliantly written to get clicks online, and not a shred of truth in the headline. I didn't even want to. I'm sure on the article it basically said that the two systems were separate, and that one really didn't have anything to do with the other. I'm sure it said that, but of course, we have to be deceptive in the headline to get someone to click and read it. So I didn't want to give them the satisfaction. So shame on you, New York Post, for doing that. Okay, plain and simple.
Wow.
Easy. So a couple of things. Larry is out there and is going to pass east of Bermuda, but it actually is. It is slowing down this cold front that's approaching. I mean, look, earlier this week, it would just come on through. We get what we would get this evening and tonight, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. Then it started to look, a little more juicy because Larry's kind of pumping up the Atlantic ridge to its northeast, and it's slowing the front down, making the trough coming through a little bit sharper. Doesn't change the outcome from the sense of the tropical storm, but instead of seeing improving weather conditions tomorrow, we're going to have a stalled front along the coast, and there's probably going to be some rain and maybe some decent rain, if you want to use the word decent, sizable rain in some places in coastal areas. It certainly could be every bit of a couple of inches in some spots.
Well, I just generally said north and west of New York City, especially that would be where the prime zone would be for possible severe weather. And it looks like if we're going to see any, I'd say it's going to come between about 10 o'clock this evening and 2 a.m. on Thursday morning. And I was saying basically anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. I did not factor in anything in terms of tropical moisture, possibly, or the fact that maybe this front might be a little bit more juicy, if you will, to pump the numbers up a bit more. But I think, Joe, generally we could say that whatever we're going to see, it's going to come during the late night hours. Pretty much will be over with when you wake up tomorrow morning. And then as we move through the day tomorrow, one thing that I do think is going to be the case is that clouds are going to be lingering for a while. It looks like more clouds and sun tomorrow. But then after tomorrow, what a glorious stretch of weather. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, bright sunshine, low humidity, comfortably warm temperatures, 70s to around 80 for the general spread of temperatures. So I think that once again, as we said with Ida last week, we make do with what we're going to get for a while in terms of unsettled weather. Nothing like what the New York Post wants to make you think, or anything that even remotely comparable to Ida. I think after we get past that frontal line tonight, again, we'll see slow improvement tomorrow. Great weather days for Friday, Saturday, and for Sunday.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned for the immediate coast, New York City east, that it may rain for at least the morning and into early afternoon before it pulls out. But west and north of there. The other thing, I'm looking at these thunderstorms on the radar right now, Joe. It looks like we'll take a look. We'll bring up the radar in a moment. The southern part of that radar it looks like the line is kind of fracturing a little bit. So I'm just wondering how much of that is going to wind up holding together as it moves east. But we'll see. But it's quite possible that line could dissolve to a certain extent and then get re-energized tomorrow when the front's right along the coast when a wave develops on it. But I don't know. I want this week to end, to tell you the truth. I really want it to just end already. I'm tired. My brain is fried again.
Well, did you drive all the way down to Jersey yesterday?
Yes, I did. If you saw on Facebook, I was with Alan Casper yesterday. I had a wonderful time. Actually, I haven't physically seen Alan since probably about 6 or 7 years, maybe even a little longer than that. I'm going to say 2011, so it's probably almost 10 years, just as I can figure. And one really nice day, a lot of fun, talked a lot, walked around the Jersey Shore. So I hadn't been down to Seaside in a good 20, 25 years, and it was beautiful. So everything, areas that got hit hard by Sandy were completely redone, and really does look nice down there. So it was fun, Joe. I had a great time. Had a very good time. And Bill Rogers' wife, Mrs. Rogers, is loving my curtains, by the way. And I saw it before. Who was it? Said, oh, was it Global Traveler? He said that I have the Aunt B look. It's the Aunt B. It's the Aunt B kitchen. Well, not quite on the other side, but I get it. So let's talk about this flash flood watch that's up, and I think it's really important. And I actually found if you go to the weather.gov, not all the local. I did this 10 minutes before the show, so I didn't get to check every office. I couldn't find this type of map in the New York office, but Mount Holly has the flash flood guide. So basically what this tells you on this map is how much rain needs to fall. And in this particular map, it's a 6-hour time frame. So how much rain needs to fall in order for flash flooding to potentially occur. So if you look on the map across northern New Jersey and into the Hudson Valley, you'll see the counties that are outlined there, and you see those darker shades of blue. From what I can figure out from those shades, Joe, 6 hours of rainfall, and this speaks to just how saturated the ground is. 6 hours of rainfall of less than an inch in that 6-hour time frame would be enough to cause a flash flood. And most of the rainfall forecast amounts are in the order of a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. So it's not that far. But my point is that it isn't so much this time around how much, that we're not talking about a 5, 6, 7 inch rain event here.
Right.
This could wind up being an inch of rain. An inch of rain would be enough to cause flash flooding in areas from southeastern Pennsylvania on up into the Hudson Valley, which is where we have the flash flood watches. But meanwhile, if you want to look at it the other way, if you look in areas where there aren't flash flood watches up, the counties in South Jersey, for example, and down into Delaware and Maryland, those areas on the flash flood guidance are showing that you need 3 or 4 or even 5 inches of rain in 6 hours in order to produce flash flooding. So the map shows how very vulnerable some places are where a little bit of rain could cause a big problem. And on the other hand, you can also see where a lot of rain will be required to cause a big problem in other areas. So this guidance is very important to look at when you have a flash flood watch up, wherever you live.
I think that the fact that it seemed like Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey were kind of like the epicenter for where Ida hit the worst in terms of rainfall. So that's naturally going into the equation as to who is going to be under this flood watch for the overnight hours tonight, and why we have what we have. So it doesn't, again, as you just pointed out, Joe, it doesn't really take all that much in terms of water, in terms of precipitation, to set the stage for some flash flooding. I said about a half to 3/4 of an inch for the immediate tri-state area. I'll give it like a 50 or 75 mile radius from Midtown Manhattan. And places, again, west of the Hudson River are likely to be more prone for seeing flash flooding, as opposed to places, let's say, from the city and especially on east across Long Island, or even up my way.
Right.
I only had about 4. He said only. I only had about 4.6 inches of rain from Ida last week, and this is in stark contrast to places like Staten Island that had 9 inches, and places in northern and northeastern New Jersey at 12. So again, you can see why everything is set up the way it is for tonight. And again, it does not look like we're going to see much until probably after about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight from this approaching cold front.
By the way, on the 1 hour flash flood, this is the 1 hour flash flood guidance. If you look in northeastern New Jersey, for example, half an inch or less of rain would be enough to produce some flash flooding if it falls in 1 hour. So again, this speaks to how saturated that ground is in northern New Jersey, west of the Hudson River, and over into northeastern Pennsylvania. And by the way, you can find this if you go to the Weather Service has now this is on there. I went through the hydrology page, the hydrology link on the Weather Service homepage. But I'm going to dig around a little bit more because I found the Mid-Atlantic, but the Northeast one, which would be off the New York site, has a whole different slew of maps. So I'm going to play with this and see if I can find links for maps that cover the Northeast and other places. I think it's pretty handy. And one of the issues with regards to what happened with Ida was as one person brought up, and I think it was a good point, was the fact that you need to, being able to put some context into what these numbers mean when you talk about an inch of rain or 2 inches of rain, and how that translates into how much flooding, how many feet of standing water do you get when you get about 3 inches of rain. So this helps to at least give you an idea of how much you need right now, because it takes into account how soaked the ground is. And the Weather Service forecast rainfall amounts, by the way, are all on the order of about 3/4 of an inch or so across northern New Jersey, a little bit more in northwest New Jersey, northeastern PA, also a bit more in central and eastern Long Island, where we're looking at 1 inch to 1.5 inches in some places, and also into southeastern New England. So there is variation here. Some of it is because of the convection. Some of it is because of the stalled front for tomorrow. But in the meantime, we do also have a new tropical storm, Tropical Storm Mindy.
Mindy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, Bill Rogers put on the board saying apparently, some people are trolling about the fact that the Weather Service was caught off guard about this. Look, let's put some context before people who don't know how to do other people's job go ahead and start blaming people who know how to do their job. But we're talking about a system here that is not really. It's so close to land. I mean, it's not exactly as if they missed a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. I mean, that would have serious impact. This is a minimal tropical storm. It'll be maybe making landfall in another couple of hours. So, big. I don't know. To me, it's like, okay, yawn, big deal. And in fact, Joe, I'm looking at some of these observations for the first time. I'm seeing a wind gust over 30 miles an hour at the Tyndall Air Force Base Tower, which is, by the way, elevation of that is right at near the ground, near the surface of the seawater. So it's not like it's 200 feet up. South wind at gusting to 32, sustained at 29, gusting to 32. Land wind gusts are all in the low 20s, big deal. And you can see the radar's overlaid on this, and there's bands of rain that are coming in. What can I tell you? It's a tropical storm. It's a weak tropical storm. I don't think I don't think it's something that needs to be made a huge deal of. Because it's developing at the last minute just before it's going into and making landfall. But
would you call this? I guess is this a little bit, more a little bit more sophisticated? I'm looking for a word to use because you've already used this term with one of the tropical systems we had last year, a glorified thunderstorm. I mean,
it might be a little bit more than that. They did have a buoy that reported 35 knots and 40 knots sustained, 1 minute sustained wind. So I'm sure it meets the criteria for a tropical storm. But I think we should just put it into perspective that it is a minimal tropical storm, and if you look at it, most of the circulation now is already inland, so it's not really going to do very much. If it had not gotten closed off that circulation, I don't know that the rain would have been any different. And I'm not so sure whether maybe the wind wouldn't have been, some of the wind gusts would be less, but I just don't think there's enough here to make a huge deal out of it.
Right. And then,
everybody's so ready to just jump down the weather guy's throat. Just leave us alone, for Christ's sake. I don't understand it.
It's not even worth the time, so to speak. And then folks down in Florida, they say, it's going to rain again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably what they're thinking of. It's no big deal. So do what you do. Take it as it is.
If there was a chance, and we've seen this happen, where we get these storms that form close to the coast, and then at the last minute, they strengthen to like 60, 65 miles an hour just before going into making landfall. Yeah, okay, but I don't think that that's the case here. This is it was literally from the advisory and how quickly it's moving. It was about 2 hours before it was the whole circulation was going to be over land. So I don't see that happening in this particular case. And by the way, after it emerges off the southeast coast, because that's what it will do, it's going to have to deal with that front that's going to be to the northwest of it, and a deep upper trough that's going to be along the east coast, creating huge amounts of wind shear. So I doubt that this thing is going to rejuvenate once it comes over on the other side.
And once this thing is out of the way, once Mindy is, eradicated, and of course once Larry is way to the north and east of our area, looks like it's going to take a swat. Larry is at Cape Race on Newfoundland. It looks like it's going to come very close to that. But it looks like the Hurricane Center has it, on a trajectory that's going to take it all the way up to Greenland by early next week, Joe. So,
I always like to see that, especially if you can find an identifiable feature along the way. All right, let's check. let's check the radar. The thunderstorms here in the Northeast. See what I mean by being fractured? The southern part of that line, Joe, is opened up in
Right.
Pennsylvania. There's like this big gap that's developed now, so I can almost envision the northern part of that line kind of clipping northwest New Jersey, maybe getting up to you, but areas to the south just kind of miss it, and we'll have to wait till the early morning hours when the front is moving offshore and you're starting to get maybe a little bit of a wave to develop on it. A bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings are up at the moment. There's two of them in eastern PA, northeastern PA, and there are four of them rolling across eastern New York, just along and north of I-90, getting close to the land of Bill Rogers there in southern Vermont. That'll be those storms are. You're probably knocking on your door there, Bill. They're getting close. And meanwhile, if you look down in the south, there's on the radar the counterclockwise circulation of Mindy. It's a small system. That heavy rain coming into the Florida Panhandle, but it's really concentrated over a small area near Panama City. On either side of Panama City by 30 or 40 miles, there's really not much happening at all. And we've got some storms there over in eastern Florida, storms in the Carolinas, big storms in southern Chesapeake Bay now, east of Norfolk and Newport News and Wallops Island, moving out to the northeast. A couple of scattered showers around the Great Lakes. Otherwise, the rest of the country looks pretty quiet.
Now, my friend Pete Bergman, who lives out in East Patchogue on Long Island, sent me a note earlier saying, well, if anybody's going to get hammered by this line of showers and storms, it's probably going to be you, because by the time this gets to me, it may not even exist anymore. And I, at first thought, I said, yeah, you're probably right, but I want to show you if I have screen saving. Yeah, here we go. I want to share this with everybody. What this looks like. Come on.
You still have access to that? I thought they took that away from you.
No, they didn't. Not yet, anyway. So, So take a look at this, folks. Now, this would be for 12:30. 04:30 is 12:30 a.m. And you could see, as Joe mentioned, that this line gets fractured, so to speak. And again, to the north of me, there's an area of severe weather, or not maybe necessarily severe weather, but heavy shower and storm activity. And over northwestern New Jersey, there's one little red blob there that may indicate some localized activity. Now here's 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. You say to yourself, okay, it's all over. It's all said and done, right? But notice, if you will, look, keep your eye on this area, this zone down here over south central New Jersey. Again, now this is based upon the RPM model. This is the so-called, all of you TV viewers who watch your favorite TV weatherman showing the Futurecast. That's what the Futurecast is based on, is this RPM model. So here's 3:30. Here's excuse me, I'm sorry. This is 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., 6:30, 7 a.m. Look at this, Joe.
Right.
At 7 a.m. tomorrow, if this verifies, you've got central and eastern Long Island getting hammered by possibly strong,
right.
maybe even severe.
That's the front slowing down to a crawl and a little wave that develops on it and kind of ripples along to the north.
Right. So maybe Pete Bergman, again out in East Patchogue, maybe not necessarily he's out of this. He may get awakened rudely tomorrow morning by some lightning and thunder and significant convective
I have to
activity.
walk my dog in the morning. Nothing drives me crazier than when it's pouring rain at 7 o'clock when I got to take the dog out, because the poor guy needs to, do his thing, and
I understand.
You don't like getting wet.
But at the same time, all of that is happening on Long Island. I'm out of it. New York is out of it. Northern Jersey is out of it. But the only ones who are still in it, again, maybe because of that little wave of low pressure, will be eastern Long Island with, again, the chance for some showery and thundery weather. So what I'm saying is that for the immediate tri-state area, all right, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., that'll be the prime time tonight. But you folks who might be watching east of here, you may have your say come right around daybreak tomorrow morning.
All right. And here's the NAM. If you switch back, I could show everybody the NAM model.
Yes.
If you'd like. So give me 1 second here. Actually, I don't need you to switch back. I can just switch you off. So anyway, yeah, the NAM, here's that line on the NAM, and it kind of holds together. This is at midnight, 1 a.m., and you can see that it starts to weaken a little bit, and then all of a sudden, as we get to 5 a.m., 6, 7, 8, all of this rain, and in fact, Joe, if you look at the NAM here, the western edge of that rain is actually north and west of New York City, and it's got what almost looks like training going on through New Jersey and into New York City and western Connecticut. There's like this narrow line of heavy rain, and then there's your low, and in fact, the NAM is so slow that it's still raining west of New York City at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon before it gets kicked out to the northeast. Now, not all the models are as far left, but a number of them are. The GFS late today. This is for 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Joe. Look at all this rain in New Jersey to New York City, Long Island, central and eastern Connecticut. It's much less as you go north and west, but it ain't that far away. And then finally, after 8 o'clock tomorrow night, it goes out. But this is the result. If you look on the lower right, folks, you can just kind of see the edge of Hurricane Larry. And if I bring up the upper air, because this is actually weather people, those of you interested in weather, I mean, if you want to see how a deep upper trough functions as far as how it interacts with a hurricane, you can watch this one as it gets to the East Coast and then just lifts Larry up and then kicks it out to the northeast. So you can just run that again. The trough diving into the east. And you can see there's this upper ridge, just kind of narrow upper ridge. This is it from 2 o'clock this afternoon is what the upper air is supposed to look like. So I mean, if this were static, if nothing were to change in the next 48 hours, Larry would go around the base of this ridge and then turn to the northeast and go goodbye. The trough coming down kind of speeds that process along because the ridge in the Atlantic weakens. There's the closest pass to Bermuda. Bermuda's at 65 degrees west. And Larry on this, it is about 62.6. So it's about 150 miles. The center is about 150, 160 miles east of Bermuda at its closest point. So they might get some fringe gales there. And then it gets kicked away to the northeast. And as Joe points out, as I'll give you the Atlantic view here. There it is. Southeast of Nova Scotia, but goes right over southeastern Newfoundland Friday night into early Saturday morning, and then you can still see the trough with this, Joe, Saturday afternoon as it's approaching southern Greenland.
Yeah, not too many storms get that far north. I think there was one. In fact, I don't think I know. In 1966, in August of 1966, there was a hurricane by the name of Faith, and I well remember that because I was on Puerto Rico. My mom, my sister, and I, we were on Puerto Rico when that thing was heading. It looked like it was heading straight for Puerto Rico, and I remember that everybody was so tense and on edge because we thought we were going to be dealing with a significant landfall or possibly a significant spanking, so to speak, from Faith. And at the last minute, the storm took a path away from Puerto Rico, went almost straight north, and I think they tracked it all the way up into the polar regions.
Yes.
It's one of the long.
Yeah. Right. You finish. You were saying what I was about to say. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was what I think it goes down in the annals as one of the longest and furthest north of any tropical cyclone on record. I think that's
for a long time it was the longest. For a long time, and then I forgot the name Kyle for some reason sticks in my head. Beat that record. I think they were right. I think they were writing advisories for Faith for something like 29 or 30 days, and I think it was Kyle. I don't remember what year it was. but I'm thinking that went for like 35 days because I mean, it was one of these storms that just would never go away. It kept.
Well, Kyle was, if you remember, one of the hurricane forecasters at the National Hurricane Center had a bit of a sense of humor on one of the hurricane discussions.
Yes.
He wrote,
right.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Yes. So it was Kyle.
It was Kyle. It was. Yeah. I think it was 2002. Okay. 2002 was, and it was very funny to. You're right. That thing just never wanted to go, and it just kept hanging out and hanging around. But Kyle, the one thing that Kyle did not do that Faith did, Faith Faith, is visit the polar regions. I mean, Faith actually was tracked all the way up until it reached the Arctic Circle. How ridiculous is that? But it looks like Larry may be Faith-like after it passes Newfoundland. It may very well. Move up toward Greenland, and they don't often see any kind of tropical systems that far north.
How come Arctic systems don't? How come hurricanes don't go to the Arctic like they did when we was?
You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. When we first started investigating.
Oh, wait. Hold it. Don't do it because Joe, when you started doing that, we're getting that interference stuff happening. So whatever you were just doing might be the ghost of. Is it a ghost? I don't know. Is Mario here? He might be listening. He's very protective.
The ghost of the gas bag.
Yes, exactly.
Like. By the way, Bob Schmidt, who for many, many years was a veteran news correspondent and anchor on ABC Radio, saw your comment and he loved it. He loved it, the gas bag comment.
Oh, he did?
And of course, Bob Schmidt doesn't have to worry about any repercussions anymore because he's long since retired. But I think he used to cover politics, and I think he agrees with you 100%.
Oh, that's
with
great.
The gas bag comic.
That's great. That's very cool. First Don Paul this week, and now Bob Schmidt. I'm thrilled.
Yep,
I'm thrilled. All right, let's bang this out quickly here, because I want to get on the road before I conk out. We'll do a little Briller Jeopardy before we do that. But let's look at the GFS going forward. As Joe pointed out earlier, much of the country is actually going to be on the quiet side weather-wise. A nice big high coming down and building into the eastern part of the United States, so that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday look very good. Temperatures probably will start to climb a bit going into early next week because there's a ridge off the East Coast and a front that is a little bit of a backdoorish front, Joe, that gets close Monday afternoon and evening, but it doesn't really quite get by. Probably have to wait until maybe Wednesday before a stronger front pushes. But once again, this has been happening over and over again. These fronts get to the coast here and they stall. And this next one may wind up stalling later next week. We'll wait and see on that. I'm not seeing anything in the tropics, but Bill Goodman shot me a note. He's doing his look at. He likes to look at the long range and see if he can figure things out. And every once in a while, well, more than every once in a while, he lands a few solid hits. So he was saying, look around the 20th. The time frame around the 19th, 20th, 21st. For something in the tropics to approach the East Coast. I'm quoting him. I'm not endorsing him. This viewpoint. I'm simply throwing it out there so that in case it happens, I can say I told you so.
No, we don't need any more. Tell Bill to keep whatever he's thinking about. Keep it away because we've had enough already for this. For this particular, by the way, I also mentioned on my Facebook page. Let me just bring that up so I don't misquote myself. This is actually from Rob Friedelwitz, who is a tremendous statistician and historian as far as weather is concerned. 10 years ago today, Joe, over the past 3 days, this is again 10 years ago, 5.33 inches of rain fell from the combination of a cold front and the remains of Tropical Storm Lee. Since August the 9th of 2011, Central Park received an incredible, this is from the 9th till now, the 8th of September, 23.16 inches of rain. The normal for that time would be 4.32 inches. During that 31-day period, there were 4 major rainstorms. 2.09 inches fell on August the 9th, 6.37 inches on August 14th and 15th, 6.87 inches on August 27th and 28th from Hurricane Irene. And now, again, 10 years ago today, 5.33 inches from, in part due to Tropical Storm Lee. So much rain had fallen through today that the 55 inches measured in the park was already 5 inches above the annual average. That was 10 years ago. Do you think it's been wet this year or this summer? 10 years ago, we were going through pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Incredible
No,
amount
I
of
mean,
rain.
no, clearly, I actually found an article. Christinapedia put this up on the Discord chat about a newspaper article about Hurricane Edna coming up the East Coast, and the center passed close, pretty close to Montauk, but it still dumped about 5+ inches of rain in New York City. So, this stuff has happened before. It's going to happen again, and that's just the way it is. To attribute it to, climate change or whatever it is,
Well, John Coyle,
that's a silly thing to do. But politically it plays, so they do it.
Well, two people on my Facebook page after I posted that. One said, a lady by the name of Dawn Marie said, "I bet you meteorologists didn't warn the politician about this one either." Ha 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 ha. That was her comment. And the other one was from a gentleman by the name of John Coyle. And John Coyle said, 23 inches of rain 10 years ago is just considered flooding. Today, it's considered climate change.
Well,
and that was not from me. That was from John Coyle, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, we talked about this the other night. They have to address the infrastructure issue because that is a big, big part of this equation. The infrastructure is not designed to handle rainfall of this magnitude. Okay, that doesn't. Right. That has nothing to do with the idea that this is something that's a once in a 20-year, 30-year, 50-year, or whatever it is. But the fact is that the systems just can't handle it. So if they can't handle it, you have to build a better system, and that's what that hopefully something comes out of it. I don't know. I will tell you this. I did read a piece this afternoon about the city and that whole issue about basement apartments that I brought up. Now, apparently 11 deaths were in Queens. They were in Queens and they were in basement apartments. There were 6 basement apartments where these deaths occurred. 5 of them were illegal. 5 out of the 6. So it is an issue and needs to be addressed. So anyhow, Paul Roman hit Super Chat tonight early. Thank you, Paul. Most appreciated. I think the chairman might be out there doing his COVID runs because he's back doing that. So we wish him well, and we wish him we wish and hope that he stays safe. And in the meantime, let's do a Brother Jeopardy quickly, because
I just want to tell you, Joe, I stole one of the 2 photographs off your Facebook page of you and Alan Casper.
Yes.
And almost immediately after I had posted it on my my personal Facebook page, Todd Glickman and Craig Allen immediately liked. In fact, they didn't just give it the thumbs up. This shows you how Alan was honored and revered by everybody. All the people you watch on television today, myself, Joe, Craig, Todd Glickman, Nick Gregory, who was weaned literally by Alan when Alan was over at Fox 5 for a number of years after he left CBS 2. So instead of just putting the standard thumbs up, Todd and Craig gave him the heart sign. So they remember, we remember, and he looks great. Yeah, he looks great after all these years. Yeah. That's I still picture Alan when he first broke in at Channel 2 in his 20s, and he had like longish hair.
Yeah.
And now of course it's many years later, but he still looks very good. Love that mustache.
Same one.
He looked like for a while when he used to wear plaid jackets on CBS 2. He looked like darn it, who was the guy who played the Anchorman role on in that movie Anchorman? You know what I'm talking about?
You know, his face is in front of me. You know,
and he looked just like Alan back in the day.
Yes.
Somebody will remember that movie.
Well, he was telling me how he used to get in trouble, and he was doing it intentionally. He would put, you know, the old LFM guidance, and he would put it on the air. And
right.
the station manager at WCBS at the time, Ed Joyce, would scream and yell at him for doing it, and he would explain every time what it meant. And the thing is, that was stuff that, at the time, the attitude with regards to how television management viewed weather, especially in New York. I mean, he was doing stuff that we started doing when we went on our air, when it was our time. But he kind of paved the way. So that was Will Farrell. Thank you, Tricia. Say hi to Robert for me, by the way. Will Farrell.
Yeah. He actually put aviation forecasts up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aviation. Like you'd see behind him. This is back in the day, folks, with the big United States map covered in plexiglass, and here's Alan with his grease pen or whatever, and you saw the symbols for the aviation weather, and like you see IFR, VFR, you'd see a circle with a line across for scattered clouds or whatever, and he put that up behind him.
You know what? Station managers were just too stupid to realize what they had. And that
right.
and that carries through, by the way, to this very day.
Exactly.
People in management and television are too stupid to realize what they have. Thank you. And I know that will not get me hired anywhere, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
But you realize that. I mean, like, he did his regular forecast for all the people watching, but do you realize how many let's say commercial airline pilots or pilots in general would tune in just to watch Alan, just so they can look over his shoulder and they could get the aviation forecast from just looking at it. He would rarely ever make a remark or refer to that behind him, but it was there for all aviation-minded people to see. So he was a pioneer.
Let's do Briller Jeopardy. And by the way, I don't know if it's your Bluetooth. I'm just been last few days getting these weird beeping interference noises. So I don't know what that is. I think it's coming from your end, because I'm watching the mics things go up. So I'm not sure what it is.
If I talk
no,
like
it's
this.
I don't know if it's where you're positioned or if something is touching something. I don't know. It's really weird. Ask the executive producer to take a look at it later. Anyway, let's go.
Please,
let's roll with this. Let's roll with this. You ready?
I'm all set.
All right, let's go. Or is it you? Do you have questions or do I?
Do I have questions? Hold on. It's been a while. Let's see.
Oh, by the way, Jared Bush just reminded me, because he's asking already about the winter. I did get my first. When are you going to start talking about the Siberian snow cover? Comment. Okay, we're a month away from Siberian snow cover. The Siberian snow cover show will be brought to you by Eskimo Pie.
All right, here we go. Here is the other Briller Jeopardy that I sent to you for Mr. Chiaffi. Category: Top 10 movie debuts. Get 8 out of 10 to pass within 3 years of to pass to win free gas for the next 10 trips from Georgia to New York. and this edition with hints.
It costs me.
With actors included.
Okay, go ahead.
And I guess you're supposed to get the years of the time. Yeah, I guess the year, correct?
I'll try.
A Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil is Charlton Heston and
Janet Leigh.
Yes, and Orson Welles was in that.
And Orson Welles, exactly.
So I'm going to say 1957.
Within one, 1958. Bing. Number 2, Paths of Glory.
Paths of Glory, and that is with Kirk Douglas.
Yes.
And Adolphe Menjou, about World War I. I'm going to say 19. God. I'll say 1960.
You're right there, within the 3-year limit, 1957.
Okay. I was going to go to 59, but Adolphe Menjou was already a 1,000 years old by the time he made this movie. So
on the episode of MASH where I'll Be Seeing You, Henry, the one where they killed off McLean Stevenson,
right?
They give him a suit, a brand new suit, as a pinstripe suit,
mm-hmm.
and Trapper says to Henry, to McLean Stevenson, that suit really is you, and that was followed up by Alan Alda saying, "Unless you're Adolphe Menjou." Number 3, I never heard of this film before. Bringing Up Baby.
Oh yes, Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
Okay.
When it first came out, it was panned by the critics and did not do well at all. But over the years, it has really become a classic, and it's a comedy. It's a screwball comedy, is what it is, and very funny. Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant work together very well. I'm going to say 1939.
Wow, boy, you're impressive, Joe. 1938.
Okay, I knew it was one of those two.
Amazing. How do you know all this?
Because I've seen most of these movies.
It's amazing. Boy, I tell you. All right, this next movie, I actually would listen to on old time radio. This was on in a variety of episodes, and it starred, as is the case in the film, Orson Welles, Trevor Howard, The Third Man.
Okay, The Third Man, very good movie. Okay, very good movie, but my God, the music in that movie that just plays over and over again.
You didn't like the movie, the music?
It's like, for me, Joe, it's every time they played that theme, I wanted to take a screwdriver and drive it through my ear. It was
used
horrible.
like a zither. It was zither.
It was horrible. Stop. I'm going to say 1947.
1948.
Okay.
All right. Sunset Boulevard.
1950.
Yes.
Yes. Gloria Swanson. What a great movie that is, by the way. That was Billy Wilder, and who directed it. It's a phenomenal movie, and Gloria. That particular year, talk about powerhouses in terms of nominations for Best Actress. In that category, you had Bette Davis and Anne Baxter nominated both as Best Actress for All About Eve. You had oh my God! Now I just said her name and I forgot for this movie. I'm having a senior fade here, Joe. What movie were we talking about again?
Sunset Boulevard.
Yes. With Gloria Swanson. So Gloria Swanson got nominated for Best Actress. Also, Judy Holliday for Born Yesterday, and she wound up winning because of how the votes were split between the others, particularly Ann Baxter and Betty Davis, who probably either you can make a case that Betty Davis should have won that year for All About Eve, or Gloria Swanson should have won for Sunset Boulevard. It's her performance in that is just incredible. But not that Judy Holliday didn't deserve it though for Born Yesterday, because that Best Actress category that year was phenomenal, and I forgot who the other nominee was. So my apologies to that person, even though she's long gone from this earth.
I saw. Did you give me the year?
1950.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the one you hit right out of the ballpark on right as I mentioned the movie.
Yes.
By the way, I saw Gloria Swanson in the play Butterflies Are Free.
Yes.
On Broadway in 1974. One of the highlights of my going to the theater was to see the now late but great Gloria Swanson on stage, and she was superb in that particular play. All right, so number 6. I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh, Jimmy Stewart, Best Actor, Yankee Doodle.
No.
Joe,
wrong Jimmy.
Whoa, my ears are. Hold on. Whoa. I don't know what that is. If you're leaning in and causing some interference, but
I'm not doing
that was
anything.
A killer, whatever it was.
I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. You got the wrong Jimmy though.
I'm sorry, Jimmy Cagney. No, it's
right.
Jimmy Stewart. My fault. Because right after that is when I got hit by that interference. All right, so Jimmy Cagney, 1943.
1 year off, 1942.
Okay. He won Best Actor that year and Best Picture, I believe. It's a great movie, by the way.
Oh yeah.
One of the few musicals that I will sit through. It's great.
Yeah, but the movie I love with James Cagney, Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
I love James Cagney in that movie. All right, who did it? All right. Anyway.
By the way, Silvio Balzano pointed out that Eleanor Parker was the other nominee in that Best Actress category.
Like I said, they polarized these. That's why. There were like two camps.
Yep.
One going for one and one going to the other, or whatever. The number 7 on the list here, by the chairman, the jazz singer, Al Jolson.
Al Jolson.
Yeah.
29.
27.
27. Right after I said 29, I thought, you should say 27. Okay. I was close. I was in the right decade anyway.
Incidentally, in 1946, this is not on the list, there was a movie, The Jolson Story. And in The Jolson Story, the life of Al Jolson was played by Larry Parks. And and of course, there's one scene in the movie where when Al Jolson sang "Mammy," he got into blackface, and Larry Parks in the movie also went into blackface. And there's a famous on radio, going back to old time radio, where Al Jolson is playing the piano with Jimmy Durante, and they're having like a competition as to who could play the piano better. And Durante turns to Al Jolson and says, "And if you'll notice, Mr. Jolson, I don't need Larry Parks to play the black keys."
God. By the way, the jazz singer, what stood out for the jazz singer was the fact that that movie was that it was a silent movie, but it was also the first time that they put voice in a movie, and when Al Jolson was singing, so it kind of marked the end of the silent era and the beginning of the talkies.
Right.
In the late 20s.
Right.
Next.
Right. All right. Number 8, The Poseidon Adventure.
1972 or 3?
You got 72.
Okay.
Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Shelley Winters.
Right.
I actually started crying during that when I first saw it in the movies.
And Jack, who played her husband? I forgot.
Albertson. Jack Albertson.
Yes.
Right. And of course, Shelley Winters, she was like the hero.
Yes.
Because she jumped into the deep water and actually saved Gene Hackman because he was underneath a giant, heavy piece of metal or whatever when they were working their way through the ship, and then she has that heart attack and she dies. and Ernest Borgnine, Gene Hackman says, to turn back and get the others. I'm not going to tell him being Jack, because again he played.
Now I've lost your audio completely.
Hello.
Now you're back.
I don't know. I have no idea. It's a brand new set of headphones and a brand new microphone or whatever.
We just had a long stretch of that tone sound, and then silence, and then you were moving your lips, but nothing was coming through. Now it's back. Okay, never mind. Right. You're back. Keep going.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh, Jesus. That movie I saw it once, and it was very hard to sit through. So I'm trying to rack my memory. Apocalypse Now.
And the two actors in that movie kind of brought together after the Godfather
Right,
movie,
right.
Marlon Brando and Robert Duvall.
But I'm trying to remember. Now, my mind is I'm trying to remember if that was a different movie, the one with that Meryl Streep was in. So I can see the scene in front of me.
It was the same year as 3 Mile Island. Will that help?
Oh, 1979.
There you go.
I was trying to zero in on that period in the late 70s, early 80s, but I was, like I said, I saw the movie once because it's a very, very difficult movie to watch. So it's hard for me to sit through it a second time. But, okay, 79. Next.
Number 10, Perfect Storm.
Well, I mean, it's based on the storm from back in the early 90s. So I'm going to say, 93? 94? It's not a movie I sat and watched, by the way.
Actually, 2000.
Okay. That explains it, because if, anything past if it's past 1960, it starts to get a little scarce in my view book. And then and then we start getting past the 1980s and beyond, it really starts to become scarce in my view book.
For those of you who did watch that movie, Perfect Storm, the Boston TV meteorologist, I actually worked for that guy. That was supposed to be Todd Gross, who was in the original novel Perfect Storm, and then again they used him in the movies. And Todd did not play himself in the movie. However, when you see that scene where Todd is trying to show, I guess, a woman, one of the producers of the newscast he was on, and he was getting all excited, like, look at this, look at Hurricane Grace, and look at this upper level trough, and look how they all going to come together. It's the perfect storm. And in the background, you see, books and everything else, and there's a picture, a framed picture, and if you look real carefully, it's a young boy. The young boy's picture is actually Brad Sky, who was Todd Gross's real son. So a piece of Todd was actually in that movie, in his picture of his son in the Perfect Storm. And here's your bonus question, Joe. And since you said you had so much trouble with movies after 1960, you may have trouble with this. Twister. It's a twister.
Oh.
Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. 2005?
1996.
Okay, so I went in the wrong direction. I've seen bits of it. It just didn't interest me. So, all right, let's roll. I have to get on the LIE before they do any kind of construction and before any thunderstorms come along. So,
well, we'll let you go then.
Yes. So, everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Joe and I will be back tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Time. So, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Adios.